Thanks for staying with us at Bloomberg Quint. I must, before I get into the next guest, pull up the currency intraday for the benefit of our viewers. And that one, I think, is trading at 71.83. There is a remarkable recovery on the currency as well. Gautam Chhaochharia, Executive Director and Head India Research at UBS, joins us right now on the show with his thoughts on markets, economy and a lot more. Gautam, good having you. Thanks much for taking the time out. This is Neeraj here. Good morning. Surprised by the market reaction, both the money markets as well as the equity markets?
A bit, but not that much, because also if you look at what's happening in the global markets, yesterday markets were flattish. Secondly, also into the election event today, there was a lot of worry being built up about the uncertainty. And lastly, to also remember that MP is still a close fight. We still don't know what happens there. I think the MP final outcome will decide the sentiment around this event.
Would you reckon, Gautam, that if it's a 2-1 in favor of the Congress, which is essentially what the markets anticipated before the exit polls, and to an extent the exit polls predicted at times even a result which was slightly more in favor of the Congress, but if it is 2-1 in favor of the Congress, then are you saying that markets, the equity markets, will take it positively?
So again, markets are driven by narrative and also hopes around what can happen. So if BJP wins MP, then the market, MP is a big state, that will give them comfort. Secondly, if you look at Congress also in Rajasthan, doesn't supposed to be a big sweep or loss for Rajasthan for BJP. So it's a mix of many things. It's just not just simple 0-1 narrative. But yes, markets would look for hopes and signals from this election, which can give them hope about 2019 elections. And as long as they get some of that, markets will take it not as negatively as markets may have worried about.
Gautam, hi, this is Harsha. What is the key takeaway from these election results for the Modi administration for the rest of the term? Do you anticipate the government to turn fiscally profligate from here on?
That is not a base case. Again, this fiscal profligacy is a quite commonly used narrative in our markets, and somehow we associate it with pre-election policy, even though the same narrative drivers in the market also say that the Indian voter is smart and will not vote necessarily based on giveaways. But keeping that aside, if you look at history, it was only in 2009 where we saw pre-election profligacy. And 2009 was also an event with global financial crisis, etc. So to expect a fiscal profligacy ahead of elections, one, very unlikely, not a base case. Secondly, just for argument's sake, is it enough time for that fiscal profligacy to feed into the ground and create a big change in narrative towards the government? It's difficult to say.
Okay. Gautam, what happens next? I mean, I think a large portion of what everybody's been saying about is that this event being out of the way, and looks like for now it is turning out to be a bit of a non-event for the markets. Then it turns focus squarely on the global cues. Are the global cues benign right now, or would you believe that there could be some pressure on our markets because of the view that you and your team might have the global markets per se?
So the global cues in simple terms is uncertainty. It's neither big positive or negative. It's still uncertain. There are a lot of many moving parts, as you've seen in the oil price move, as we've seen in US-China trade issues. So it's going to be volatile is the simple way of answering that, and that's not a good answer, but that's where we are right now. For India locally, the next milepost would be local flows, obviously, and also who is the next RBI governor, if at all there's any change in policy. And politically, whether what we hear or see about alliance formation post the state elections.
Just a point about the RBI governor, Gautam. When we spoke to foreign investors yesterday, there was a certain sense of shock and disappointment with what has happened. What to your mind is the way forward to restore credibility, particularly in the government central bank relations? And what would foreign investors want to see, you think?
Actually, if I can, Harsha, chip in a follow-up to that as well. Gautam, a lot of your foreign clientele would have also spoken to you about this development because it did stand out. What was the communication like then in today's morning calls, for example?
Absolutely. So again, every investor is trying to make sense of this. But let me put it this way, the currency and bond market investors are a lot more worried about this issue than the equity market investors are. And how this gets sorted out or will give stability to market narrative would be the choice of the RBI governor, and secondly also then how the new governor actually lays out the policy. Like just for argument's sake, if you go back when Dr. Ujit Patel was appointed, there was some worries about whether we'll have a continuation of Dr. Rajan's independent monetary policy. But as we saw over the last few months, I think the markets got confidence back. So again, who becomes governor and what he does will determine whether the credibility is restored or the markets are worried about that.
All right, Gautam, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much indeed for joining us with your perspective, Gautam Chhaochharia from UBS on the markets and on the RBI governor. We'll slip in a short break. On that note, come back. We'll continue talking markets, state election results, and how and its impact in a moment from now.